So in the last video, I showed how to create a table within a database, and this was the table which we created. Now is the time to generate the PHP code snippet which will be accessing this table for storing data within these attributes. So let me open the file which I have already created. Here it is. In the very first line, PHP comes up with a method called mysqli_connect, which takes exactly 4 arguments. The first, the place where your database is located, that's localhost. Second, the authorized username who will be allowed to access the database. Third, the password for the given user. And the fourth, the name of the database which you are trying to connect. All these 4 information you will be getting from the 000 web host. Let me show you how. If you come over here in the manage database section, they will show you this particular 3 tab, and all these information I have written in the code apart from the password which you are supposed to remember. That's the only thing that you will be adding. Otherwise, copy and paste it over here. After you successfully connected the database, your reference variable $con will be initialized. In PHP, we always associate a dollar along with a variable name. The variable in PHP, they don't have the data type as we find in C language or Java. Now, after the initialization of this reference variable, it is the time to receive the data from the Android end. When we will see in the next video the Android part, we will find that Android will be using something called key value pair for sending data. The key that Android will be using, let's assume that this is the key they are going to use, because I have created a table which will be responsible for storing username and password, right? Username and password. So these 2 username and password will be coming from the Android application. So that's the reason we are assuming that Android will be using a key called username and another key called password. So those 2 keys will be same at both ends. That means Android and PHP has to have the key same name. Here I am checking that in case the key which Android will be using a methodology, encryption methodology called post. And remember, since this is a variable name, that's the reason it has to be represented within a single quote. Okay. So the content of this variable will be encrypted within this encryption methodology, and we are checking that if it is not empty. Similarly, the content of this encrypted variable, we are again checking if it is not empty. That means these 2 key, they have got some values. Now it is the time to copy the content of the respective key within the PHP variable. I am using the same key name as a PHP variable name. You are free to choose whatever name you want. Same thing I am doing it for the alternative second key, that is the password. After that, we are going to perform our data manipulation language, that is DML. And in that, I've written the command called insert into the table name. Remember, this table already been created by the user called user_tbl. So same table name, I'm using it. Along with the table name, if you find over here, respective attribute will be there. So 3 attributes are there. That's the reason I'm passing the null in the first argument, because as of you remember, the first argument is of type auto increment, so the value will be generated automatically. That's the reason I'm not inserting any value for that. The variable that will be holding the second attribute, I'm mentioning this one, so the content of this variable will be coming to the second attribute, and the content of the third argument will be coming over here. This whole statement, this whole data manipulation query, I'm saving it inside a PHP variable called $SQL. The reason is we are working in PHP, and this query is a database related query, so PHP directly will not understand that. So we have to store it in a variable so that we can pass it to a method called mysqli_query. If you take a minute note at this line, then you will find that in this line I have said what to do, but I didn't mention the place where from to do, and that is what been mentioned in this reference variable. So mysqli_query has got 2 arguments. The first tells me where from I have to execute the work, and the second tells me what exactly I have to do. So if both the statements are successfully going to fire, then this MySQLi will return a value in the form of boolean that is going to be true. And if it is going to be true, then this particular message will be sent back to the Android application. If something goes wrong, in that case, this message will be sent back to Android. If definitely any one of will be working together, or anyone will be working, and if after the end of this execution, there is no point of keeping this connection active, so you will simply close it. Well, all this thing happening only if you have given the value for both the keys. What if you miss out the value of any one or none because AND is over here? In that case, I will be sending a message back to the Android that is called blank record. So I think you have understood the code snippet of this. What I now need to do is I will simply copy this code from here. I come to my domain name. Let me come to my 000 web host. I come to file manager because I have to create one file in PHP where I will be copying and pasting that code snippet. Let the page gets open, and here it is. I will create a file, but before that let me go inside the Volley folder to make it as a current folder, and here I'm going to create a file. This is an option called new file. I was supposed to give a name over here. Don't forget to give the extension .php. Always try to give a file name in the lowercase. Avoid numbers. Click the create button and the file will be created. Now right click on the file, go to the option called edit and simply paste back the content, and that's it. Now I will click the save and close because the file will be saving and then finally it will be closing. The file got closed. I'm not going to run the file directly in PHP, but I need, because I need to get the URL. And remember, I'm not supplying any input to this particular file. So when I will run the file, I will get the message blank record. How do you run the file? Right click on the file name. Go to the option called view. And here it is. Once you run the file, since you didn't provide any input, the message blank record terminates. So this is the message that you saw, this message blank record. And this URL I will be in need of in my Android. So that was the part from PHP end, how to generate the code snippet which will be responsible for inserting record in the table. Now is the time to get back to Android and to insert this URL over there using the Volley API. So wait for my next video. Until then, have a nice time.